Land of the Bible, Part 5, What to Expect on Tour. People get very excited on the eve of their pilgrimage or tour to the Holy Land. Very understandable. And I've seen this again and again and again. The impetus, or shall we say the momentum, is there. Please bear in mind a few things as you embark on your trip. That the tourist industry in Israel is very well developed. They even have a department just devoted to Christian pilgrimage, trying to attract Christians from all over the world. After all, there's only 14 million Jews in the world, so half of them live in Israel, or at least the majority do. So who are they going to get to frequent the sites of the land? Well, of course, it's the Christian world, 2 billion plus. And many have heeded the call. So what else to expect in the tourist industry? It's not just run by Jewish people, it's run by Jews and Arabs. In fact, even in many Israeli hotels, there's a lot of Arab employees. They work hard, they do a good job, and it's a great example of coexistence. With this in mind, please remember, it is in the best interest of the Israelis and of the Arabs, who can be Israeli citizens or Jerusalem citizens or West Bank residents or what have you, that the tourists are protected and unharmed. It's not only because it's not good for business, but it's also part of the Middle Eastern mindset of hospitality, which is renowned throughout the world. So that's why, at least in my observation, you never hear about a group of tourists in the land getting attacked or being harmed anyway. It could happen to lone pilgrims, it could happen to those who go astray, but normally not in a group. We take nothing for granted. Every day should be prayed about, but that's how it's been for a long time. What else do we learn? You'll be taken to key sites where you'll have an explanation, and in some cases a devotion, reading the scripture and reflecting at the site its biblical meaning. Of course, time for photos and shopping where appropriate. Days will be full from 8 in the morning to 5 at night. I found that I like to offer time off, discretionary time, but my experience has been the pilgrims don't know what to do with themselves and they just want to follow me on my discretionary time. So we do what we can to meet all those needs. For us personally, we have a goal of information, inspiration, and recreation. We want you to learn, we want you to be inspired, uplifted, and edified. We want you to have a good time, and we have different activities for that. So remember the food. People worry about the food. It's wonderful. It's fresh produce, fresh fruit, tender meat, you name it. Sometimes a bit of fusion, sometimes it's authentic, but of course I recommend falafel sandwiches and mahlube, upside down rice that you get in the Arab sector. It is a taste sensation. What are some of the key sites that I can recommend on a tour? Well, there's all kinds, and what I'm about to share is by no means a complete list. If I don't mention a place, it doesn't mean it isn't worth going to. I'm just talking about some favorite places that come to my mind at this time. Well, one is you've got to take people to the Dead Sea. They need a time to float. It is an incomparable experience, and it never fails to impress. While you're talking about the sea, go to the Sea of Galilee and take one of the worship boats or the pilgrim boats. There's one company, they play Christian music so you can worship. There's another company, they actually have the man, he's messianic, he leads you in worship, and he never disappoints when that happens. So there's the boat ride, and then if there's anyone that needs to be baptized, there is not one, but 2 baptismal sites on the Jordan River. One where the Sea of Galilee flows into the Jordan, that's called Yardenit. And Yardenit is well developed for Christian groups to have their baptismal service. And then there's one closer to the site of Jesus' own baptism down in the south. And it's called Qasr el-Yahud, or the baptismal site. It literally is a stone's throw away from Jordan. It's rather remarkable. How about Jerusalem? Jerusalem, well, I'll tell you about it in a moment. Let me not forget Caesarea or Caesarea on the Mediterranean. It was the Roman capital of Palestine in the time of Jesus. And of course, Paul was there. He was in prison for a few years. He had his trial with King Agrippa in Acts 26. Then he was dispatched to Rome in Acts 27. The archaeological remains and the New Testament history around Caesarea are absolutely impressive. There's so much I could share, and there's no time for it right here. Now, Jerusalem. What should you visit? Mount of Olives. You should visit the Old City. There's major sites in the Old City that you can't miss out on. And of course, the Garden Tomb. Don't just visit the Garden Tomb, have Holy Communion in the Garden Tomb. And of course, if you want to see the birthplace of Jesus, that's Bethlehem. It's only 6 miles or 10 kilometers down the road. More to share with you, but that will be in another video.